So we birth spiritual children who we do the best we can with our ability to mother and father those spiritual children, the emotional truth of self, learning, growing, evolving that way. There's no other way to learn, grow, and evolve. The belief from the emotional truth of self is born through experience as children. And when your beliefs are healthy enough, because your treatment of your early child was healthy enough to birth and develop positive belief and trust in yourself, then you were good to go out into the world and know you had pieces of yourself that you knew and were relating to that made you feel safe, that you always returned to when things got ugly. And it was good. You were able to work it out. People like me who had the opposite of that, I ran away, used drugs, eventually in its end result, getting so bad at drug addiction, I had no home, 3 full-time years back alley junkie. It affects people differently depending on their emotional programming that develops the core beliefs of self in experience in early childhood with parents or parental figures, that the child needs to be loved from. If the child doesn't feel loved / respected for its self-expression, acknowledgement for its self-expression, the consideration of what is said, all the stuff you do when it's $1 million deal on the table and you're being your best perfect human, and then you go home and turn that shit off and reject child, not because it's your fault. It's not your fault. It is evil's fault. There are people on the planet now working with this information to turn us against ourselves by surrendering our belief and trust in self, and surrendering the new knowledge found in the communication between God, our self of uniqueness and life source, birthing those spiritual children. Now, what am I? Okay, so, and the whole fucking point is for cops. So you have to take your spiritual children and hand them over to the spiritual pedophile for him to work his thing in opposite and opposing emotional darkness, for you then to allow yourself to be the muscling element for multiple drug dealers of deadly disease-causing psychoactive substances that target not only our children, but yours too. And see, that's the willful ignorance part. How, you see, the thing about willful ignorance is that it's only here. It's not in heaven. It's not in the purity form of truth. As a matter of fact, when you deny the purity form of truth is when willful ignorance happens, because you gotta take only a thin sliver of the knowledge and not the purity of the knowledge anymore, therefore darkening it, because it arrived in bright white shining light, since it's from the life source. You see, it has to be turned first before we allow ourselves to believe in willful ignorance, not what's birthed from it, but what's created from it. From what? The fornication or calculating heart's thought with the emotional darkness. You see, that's what fornication is meant for you to understand about that.